Welcome back to Class Firearms, guys. Kyle over here. I did a little something different today. We were supposed to be in the video room with Matt, do a video about these Swiss Lugers, 1929 WF. Let me actually show them to you real quick. Right here, here they are. These historic, awesome pieces of history, basically. You know, used by the Swiss military. I don't know much about them, but I know that they were, obviously they're from 1929. They were used in the World War II, for sure, Swiss military. But you know what? We were supposed to do a video in the video room. But I was like, you know what, Matt? Why don't you go get a lunch, a drink, or coffee or something, and I'll get these guns ready. And then I just bailed out. Here I am at the range because I actually want to get my hands on these things before I talk about them, because I know nothing about them. With that being said, I know Matt's going to give you guys all of the information you need. Let me shoot them what I do best when it comes to this whole thing. So, I'm just going to go for it. All right. But safety first. Let me get my eyes. Guys, eyes and ears, man. You don't want to lose them. You need them. All right, get this thing in. Good to go. First time shooting it. I mean, they look really good. Like brand new. The craftsmanship is really good. It feels really, really robust, let's just say. Let's shoot them, see how they feel. Again, it's 7.65 caliber, so it's gonna be pretty easy recoiling. Oh yeah. Ha! Lock to the rear, good to go. Empty magazine. Feels really good. Believe it or not, 1929, super balanced. Again, all of the weight is up here, like where you're grabbing. So everything is happening here. The barrel is just out there doing its thing. Feels really good, but let me shoot the other one. All right, again, the other one is just as good. Nice, super cool. And honestly, look at this slide. Just thick, like a tank. Awesome steel. It's a little heavy gun, so there's 8 rounds in each magazine. Good to go. Look at that loaded chamber indicator. There's a round in there. Kind of raise up right there. Let's see how this feels. I'm gonna be honest with you. This thing shoots better than some of these modern guns that I actually am used to shooting here. It is really cool. Wow, okay. I'm so glad I came to the range to actually try these things out. Now I can actually give you guys some honest, educated
feedback.
Experienced opinion. Feedback, exactly. That's about it, I think. You know what? Let me do a full mag dump as fast as I can, see if this thing reliably cycles. All right, guys. 1929, but look how cool these magazines are. They got this little notch on the side. You kind of pull the follower down. That's it. It is super easy. Oh, I dropped around. Super easy to load, just like that. This is so cool. I'm sure a lot of people are really appreciating this. There you go. Let me shoot the thing. All right, good to go. Loading the magazine in. I mean, the magazine opening is pretty tiny per design, but hey, 1929, bro. That's it. And pull this thing back, send it forward, and man, this is freaking awesome. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure Matt is right now in the video room waiting and wondering where I'm at. So let's get back to the video room and have Matt basically talk your ears off about these things.
Man, where is Kaya? I've been waiting so long. We were supposed to go to where have you been, man? We're supposed to shoot this video, then go to the range. Wait, why do you smell like gunpowder already? Why do you smell like gunpowder already?
Okay, take it easy. I work at Classic Firearms. I shoot guns. That's my job.
Yeah, but we're supposed to shoot guns together.
Yes, so I actually, here's what I did. I think you'll understand. I took these guys to the range, and there's a reason why I did that. You told me, hey, Kyle, we're going to shoot a video about these guns. I opened the box. I was like, okay, I know nothing about them. And I didn't want to tell you guys what I think about them or just sit here all quiet. I wanted to actually experience them. I took them to the range. I shot them. They worked flawlessly. In fact, I'm glad I did it because they completely changed my mind about them.
Okay.
All right, so here's the thing, and then I want to know about the history because I know nothing about them.
Okay.
When I first saw these guns, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, some old school German Swiss Lugers, whatever. I prejudged these things hard, right? I was like, whatever, it's not my style. Once I took them to the range, I shot them. Not only they shot real well, super balanced gun, and I looked at the this mechanism and everything. Just I know it's old school, but it is so robust, and the tolerance is like insane. I was like, oh my god, this thing is really cool. So it basically in itself won me over without you even talking about the gun.
Okay.
So do you get it now?
I mean, I'm happy that you've been won over, but I
Yes.
mean, I thought we were going together. You know what? Let's focus on
the history,
the pistols.
Exactly. So I want to know the history now that I know how these things shoot.
Okay,
So
so
you're the history guy.
sure. So what we have here is a Swiss 1906/29 Luger. So this is in 7.65 Luger. Obviously, that's a little bit different from say some of the German ones in 9mm, but you know. Effectively, the Swiss were one of the first adopters of the Luger as a military armament, right? And originally kind of tested in like 1900, adopted in 1901 as the model of 1900. But quickly, they made some modifications for the Swiss military, and what we have is the baseline 1906 model. Okay. The Swiss would continue to make improvements, so you have the 0624 and the 0629, and the 0629 is what we have here. This is kind of the ultimate evolution of the Luger in Swiss military usage. Now, when I say that the Swiss use these, I don't want you to think, oh, like way back in World War II. No, they originally adopted again in like 1901, and this served all the way up through like 1970. So
This thing, all the way up to 1970
Yeah.
in their military?
Yeah.
That's insane, because you would think that these are like 1930s, 40s, and done.
I mean, you might have that idea, especially considering how many new firearms were developed in like the 1950s and stuff. But no, they continue to use these things well after World War II. And so originally these would have been produced by DWM in Germany, and they would be marked DWM here on the toggle. And then they would either send complete pistols or they would send like finished frames and stuff to be finished assembled in Switzerland, a place like Waffenfabrik Bern.
Okay.
But in that case, you would have the DWM here on the toggle, and then you would have a Swiss shield somewhere up here. Now, there's some variation. Sometimes it's like a cross on a starburst. Sometimes it's a cross on a shield. But eventually, over time, they basically brought all of that production domestic, and they were being made by Waffenfabrik Bern. So that's what we have here is a completely Swiss-made pistol. And we can see that it's just got the Swiss shield here on the toggle.
Dude, I mean, look at it. I want to show it to the folks over there watching. Like, look at how nice the metal is, how everything is fit together. I know the operation is a little different, which I know you'll talk about, but look at this thing. I'm trying to show this. Look at that.
Talking about this kind of design here, what this toggle does is a lot of times there's kind of some miscommunication, I think, over what we call this. So you'll hear something like toggle lock, but really this is more like a toggle delayed blowback. So on a direct blowback pistol, as the round goes this way, it's providing pressure backwards, and you're relying on a heavy slide or stiff spring to keep the action closed long enough for the bullet to exit, and then the pressures to be low enough to be safe when the action opens.
Okay.
And what this is using is a mechanical disadvantage to keep this closed. So effectively, when the pressure's coming back, this knee of the toggle doesn't want to break. And so it's got to push really hard in order to get this to pop up.
So that's
what gives it
out.
the time for that pressure to leave out after the bullet has left the barrel.
So this is what we're talking about. Okay.
So it is effectively a delayed blowback style action, right? Now, one of the things, is that as they evolved, they also changed some of the machining to try to be simpler and easier to produce. So on early pistols, you'll see a lot of checkering on all the, kind of control points, like the toggle here on the safety lever.
Easier to grip?
Right.
Grab?
Something to kind of be able to grab it a little bit better when you're trying to break that action to charge the firearm. But as they went on, by the time you get to the 29 model, you can see that these are all very simplistic designed, where they've done away with like the enlarged safety lever and the checkering on it, going for more of a streamlined manufacture. There would be more like slant cuts up here where the barrel threads in, but they've just gone to something round. Okay. So they do kind of simplify the design as they go through and try to improve upon it for military service. But it's still, when you look at the action, this still seems very, complex for compared to a modern
Oh
firearm.
my God, it is extremely complex. This is
Like there's so many mating surfaces and stuff in order to get this to work. But I think this is actually the most interesting part about it because, you know, when we look back at historical firearms, one of the things I think is the most interesting are the designs that kind of end up stopping somewhere because we've decided that there's a different path that works a little bit better. So when you look back and you say, okay, well, there are no modern firearms that are using a toggle action like this. Okay, well, but that's what makes this interesting, right? And just because we don't use it because it's not going to be like a Browning design or something that's kind of won that war, it's still a super reliable and fun to shoot firearm, and you're holding a piece of history. Like, how often in your life can you use a piece of history?
Dude, listen, I mean, look at this thing. We got a little tapered barrel right here. There's no weight here.
It's very little
virtually.
weight out front.
And the grip angle, this is actually pretty aggressive grip angle, right? But when you grab this thing, all of the weight is right here. Like, legitimately, all of the weight, just right here. You can hold on to this all day long. You don't have that heavier slide up front or I don't know, some light, whatever. I'm not saying I don't like that. Of course I do.
It's
but
lower reciprocating mass, right?
yeah,
You know,
exactly. And it's just super well balanced for a shooter, right? And when I was shooting this thing, the recoil management was very, very good, very controlled. Listen, if you're like me, I mean, I'm a polymer frame, like Glock guy or Smith guy or SIG guy. That's what I am. This wouldn't be your gun, right? If you look at it, this wouldn't be your gun. This just shows that there's hidden gems out there. This thing was so good. Like, I would actually...
He's converted, folks. He's converted.
No, serious, I mean this. This is so robust. Look at the quality, like the metal, the tolerances, and I love the design. You know, even though it may not be a modern design, but it's still, back in the day, they designed this.
And just this iconic kind of profile, right?
Exactly.
I think that's another thing to be said about when you look at a lot of kind of classic military surplus, is there's something that's just, as soon as you see this, you know it's Luger. Now, usually we associate Luger with Germany, and that's where the design originates.
Yeah.
But, you know, so this was adopted by the Swiss. But as soon as you see it, you recognize it. And I think that that's another thing is kind of the nostalgia of when you grow up watching certain movies and shows, and you just want a piece of that. And then you can still take it out and shoot it.
No, oh yeah, that's the thing. Let's get one thing out of the way. This is an old gun, right? First of all, it looks pretty new to me.
I mean,
when you look at this
how
thing,
fantastic that looks.
This thing looks pretty new, no scratch. I mean, look at this thing. Look at the camera. This is very new, but old school gun.
And you know, if you really get into kind of the collection of military surplus firearms, one of the great things about Lugers is that they made so many different variations. So like just with Swiss Lugers, you could have a 1906, an 0624, an 0629. When you throw in like, you know, German Lugers, they have Navy and the artillery and just all kind of, you know, the ones with the extended barrels, like the carbine Lugers. There are so many different small variations that you could have an entire collection of just Lugers. Yeah. And still, you know, have a ton of different interests in it. One of the things I think that a lot of people don't realize is that when we talk about how this is kind of an iconically German design, the U.S. actually tested this. I believe it was 1902. We had them manufacture a couple Lugers
1902?
in 45 caliber, and the U.S. military actually tested the Luger to see if we would adopt it. Now, of course, it did not get accepted as the U.S. sidearm. We all know, but
what do we select?
the 1911.
I mean, 1911 is legendary, man. Come on.
But I mean, okay. But when you think about iconic designs, right? You can picture the 1911. What's always going to be next to it? What's the opposing pistol? The Luger.
Right here. Listen, I own a couple of 1911s. They're great. I'm gonna be honest, and some of the 1911 guys are gonna not like me.
I think
listen, 1911. Listen, hear me out, and I'm being extremely sincere here. 1911s are definitely more ergonomic, right? They're just this more modern.
Are they
design.
more ergonomic, or are you
For me,
more
they are.
used to the design principle of it?
I would say more ergonomic because I can just tap. I can just aggressively rack it. For me, I feel like it's more of a modern combat gun.
I'm not arguing with you. I want to point out that when you are used to a certain design, of course it feels more ergonomic because that's the design you're used to.
I get that. I'm
What
more
if we
trained
see
with.
the 1911 versus Luger video?
It sounds like a pretty good idea.
But you and me.
Yeah.
And
I like
I'm good.
that.
Okay,
like
do
that, John.
Let's do that. But I want to say this: 1911s. I love them, but to me, this thing is more, I feel like this would be more reliable. That's what I think. What do you think?
I don't know. I think the argument about which gun is more reliable it can be really hard to encapsulate, right? It's like the AR versus AK more reliable.
Well, AR is
kind
more
of
reliable. We know that.
You know, but I do think that when you are looking at having a piece of history, certainly the 1911 is a famous 2 world wars kind of but. That doesn't mean that you have to limit yourself to just American designs, right? Like this is a really cool piece of history and just as iconic, I think. And I don't see why you shouldn't find room in your collection for both.
I found this trigger to be, again, this is a clear gun, checked it numerous times. I found this trigger to be actually very good.
It is a very good trigger.
Look at this. This is just wall. And that's actually pretty crisp and pretty light for what it is for a early 1900 gun. So those are my thoughts, man. Overall, this thing gets a straight up a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
For what it is,
hey, listen,
all day long.
I'm not mad about it. I mean, I've always been a huge fan of surplus guns, and I'm super happy to see that you're maybe taking a step outside the ultra tactical, normal stuff that you talk about. But yeah, I think that Lugers are just a phenomenal design, a super interesting mechanical design, and it's always great to be able to study those kind of those offshoots in history where somebody tried something different
100%.
and how it worked out for them. What's your favorite surplus firearm or specifically surplus handgun out there? Would you say it's the Luger? Would you say there's a different design that you think is an even better example of a surplus pistol that you enjoy shooting? The Tokarev pistol, or
that's right. That's your favorite. One of your favorites.
I really like the Tokarev.
Yeah. Let us know in the comment section if you have any experience with the obviously right here Swiss Luger. If you do, I'm almost certain those comments are going to be positive. And if you don't, if you can try them, you're going to be surprised. That's all I'm going to say. And with that being said, you got anything else to add?
No, I think that's it. But yeah, guys, don't forget to go over to CF Contests. Just Google that, and you will see a bunch of cool stuff. I always like to say it's the cool place where cool people go.
Yeah, the stuff that you see in the back over here.
Some stuff over there.
And maybe in your safe.
It might show up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you to keep in the safe. I recommend you to actually shoot them, but it's up to you. So CF Contest, Google that. You know what I'm talking about, or what we're talking about. With that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We appreciate your business.
God bless.
And we'll see you on the next one.